We're joined by Peter Tatchell, the gay rights campaigner, but his point of view on this may surprise you. And also Adam Murray is from the charity Cara Friend, which runs a helpline supporting the LGBT community in Northern Ireland. And I'll start with you, Adam, in Belfast. You say the court got it wrong here.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Absolutely. I'm very disappointed by the Supreme Court's decision yesterday, and I think still in a bit of a state of shock. I agreed more with the local court and the appeal judge, but the Supreme Court has ruled in favour of the bakers. I think it was the wrong decision. Like everybody here, I have an opinion. I don't think there's anyone on the fence. But for me, I think you've actually very early on in this conversation nailed it on the head. This is part of a wider discussion about the kind of society that we want to see, and my concern and the concern of many LGBT people here, and I hope across the UK, is that this could have wider implications. Certainly the organisation that supported the bakers, the Christian Institute, are not supportive of LGBT rights broadly, and that I think is the question that we should be talking about is, okay, well, the Supreme Court has made a ruling. It could still be appealed to the European Court of Human Rights, but the conversation we need to be having is the conversation about what kind of society do we want to live in.
But the bakers might say we want a society where we're free to practice our religious beliefs, please.
But this is a very strange notion to me that a public business whose job is to serve the public could have a religion attached to it. And do we want a society where every business basically has the characteristics of its owners?
Okay, interesting. Peter Tatchell, come in on that.
Well, first let me say that I am wholly in support of the LGBT community in Northern Ireland. They have suffered decades of discrimination and even hate crime. And, it is shocking to think that the Democratic Unionist Party, the main party in Northern Ireland, has opposed every single gay law reform in the last 40-plus years. And the context now, of course, is the ongoing ban on same-sex marriage in the north of Ireland. Unlike Scotland, Wales, and England, in the north of Ireland, same-sex couples who love each other are still forbidden by law to marry them.
Right, so all of that leads us to think you're going to be cross with the bakers, but for some reason you're not.
Yeah, I profoundly disagree with Asher's Bakery in their opposition to marriage equality. The right to marry the person you love is a human right. But on this issue...
Okay, come on.
On this issue, I think that it is fundamentally wrong, as the Supreme Court has ruled, to compel a business to facilitate or promote an idea, a political idea, same-sex marriage, with which they disagree. And of course, this cuts both ways. The Supreme Court has said that Asher's Bakery cannot be compelled to decorate a cake with the words support gay marriage because they disagree with it. But obviously, that also implies, thankfully, that gay bakers cannot be required by law to decorate cakes with messages against same-sex marriage.
Right, well, that's interesting, Adam. Maybe that's the upside here for you.
But no, it's not an upside at all. I don't want to see a society where we have more discrimination and legal discrimination. I think if you open a public business, you have to serve the public as long as it's not distasteful or hate speech or obscene. I think if you offer a public service, even if you disagree with something...
Well, distasteful is probably what they think it is.
But it's not. I just don't understand this very American notion that you have gay bakeries and Christian bakeries, and I just don't agree with this at all. I think a customer has to have the protections that they know when they walk in and they ask for something, that they're not going to be turned away, or as in this case, have their money accepted and then be called back 2 days later and told to come back.
There's a number of interesting extra dimensions to this. One of them is that the campaigner here had been in before as a customer and had been served, which led the bakers to be able to say, we have no problem with him, with Gareth as an individual, it's just with this cake.
But absolutely say, okay, we had a problem with the message, our personal religious beliefs, and again, I don't think that personal beliefs transfer into the public business realm, but what if someone came in and said, well, I would like a wedding cake for a Jewish wedding, and a religious person who runs the bakery said, well, actually, we don't support Judaism, we're of a different religion, we're not going to serve you. And would we be having the same debate if it was that case? Because I'm not sure that we would.
Go on, Peter.
Well, you raise a very good point. But equally, I could say that if the judgment had gone against Asher's, if the Supreme Court had ruled that they had no right to refuse to bake a cake with that message, the implication could be that a Muslim printer could be obliged by law to publish the cartoons of Muhammad, or a Jewish printer could be required by law to publish a book advocating Holocaust denial. So there are. This is much bigger than gay rights.
Well, I'm not sure that travels actually, because the anti-discrimination or equality legislation is there to protect minority groups and groups which have traditionally been discriminated against on the basis of gender or race or sexual orientation. Asking someone to print a cake with a picture of Muhammad on it and being told no, that's not a discrimination against you for your religion or anything like that. And I think obviously, look, the reason that this case has come to the courts and has come to other courts in Europe, and there's a big case in America that also took place, is because there was an ambiguity in the law. Now, I agree with the local courts. Other people will agree with the Supreme Court, but we can all have our different opinions there. But the cases or the discussion that we need to be having about is where the line is drawn. And I would rather see a society where businesses, public businesses, are serving the public regardless of what their own personal beliefs are, rather than every business has its own personal beliefs and customers don't know when they go into that shop whether or not they will be served.
That's a crucial point, Peter, because it's very... I know they've chosen a tiny little kink here, the judges, but actually there's a tiny step from this ruling to them being able to say, if you're a gay customer, you're not welcome here.
Well, the Supreme Court made it absolutely clear, and I agree, that discrimination against people is absolutely and always wrong, and it is unlawful. So if the bakers had refused to serve Gareth Lee because he was gay, then I would be standing beside Gareth Lee and opposing the bakers.
And me and Peter
that
agree
is
on
not
that.
that is not what they did.